Hi, I'm Eric Estrada, and this is Divine Renovation!
This is Divine Renovation Destination New England, where we identify families or facilities in need of home enhancements to improve their lives that must be completed in a very short amount of time. Divine Renovation brings together caring neighbors, not-for-profits, and businesses to show that people still really do care. Meet Joe Short. Joe has a very busy life, providing social work care for the disabled, doing work around his new house, and getting ready for his upcoming wedding to longtime partner, Alyssa.
I'm an independent living advocate at one of the 5 state independent living centers here in Connecticut. And I've been an advocate there for about 12 years now. One of the prime programs is getting people out of nursing homes, getting out of that the facility living and back into the community, and providing them with the wraparound supports that they need in order to live independently in the community.
I'm a sign language interpreter. I've been an interpreter for about 15 years now, and I really love it. I can't sit still. I'm constantly moving. So now I get paid not to, which is really nice. Love to use my hands. I can't sit still at all,
So we kind of got paired up in an office there, and we kind of hit it off.
He actually wouldn't date me for a little while because he was just getting out of a relationship. So he was like, no, not yet, not yet.
And so instead we became best friends for quite a few years. And it worked out great to be, finally marrying my best friend.
Joe is a quadriplegic due to a devastating incident that happened when he was only 21.
I was hit by a drunk driver, and it broke my 4th, 5th, and 6th cervical vertebrae, leaving me as a C6 quadriplegic. So my paralysis is from about my collarbone down. I have 0 use of my triceps and only use of my wrist flexors, meaning they can go this way, but they can't go that way. At that age, you're starting to, you're becoming more independent and everything, and then, life completely throws you a curveball, and you pretty much have to relearn how to do everything. And so it was a huge adjustment, and it took years.
Brian Bielefeld, Divine Renovation's handyman, has a solution for the Shorts.
With the Short residence, something as simple as door handles. He doesn't really have a lot of mobility in his wrists, so to be able to turn a door handle is very difficult for him. Just by adding lever-style door handles within the house will allow him to move around his residence with ease. I mean, it's going to change the way he's able to interact with his family, get from one side of the house to the other, go to the bathroom.
Joe's trusty companion and constant helper is his service dog, Grace, who we met at Educated Canines Assisting with Disabilities in another episode of Divine Renovation. Joe was paired with Grace at ECAD, was trained with her, and took her home. Grace is always by his side.
No sleeping on the job.
Joe loves to work in his yard, clearing wood, and Grace helps out. One of Joe's biggest problems, though, is that he has a grass path from the wheelchair ramp to the driveway, and his chair often gets stuck.
Alyssa! Alyssa, I'm stuck!
So when Joe gets in a accident or a mishap, it tends to range in how I feel, because sometimes it's, you know, I joke that he's made of Rubbermaid. He's fallen out of his chair more times than I can count, but he's yet to break a bone. I realize I haven't heard from him in a while, or I hear him yelling for me, or I get the call on the life alert, and so then usually it's just he's stuck somewhere. I get more nervous when I'm not home, because that's the times when, like, he doesn't have somebody necessarily with him to help him get unstuck, or he doesn't have his phone on him.
My name is Ben Federico. I'm Joe's neighbor. Me and my wife are going out to do some work, and my wife hears a faint noise, you know, someone like saying help, help. So I look up on his driveway, and he had flipped his wheelchair over. A wheel came off and he flipped over, and he was laying on his back in the sun, and so he was dehydrated, and my wife got water for him. I tried to put the wheelchair back together for him, and then I got another neighbor to help me lift him up, and we put him back on his chair. Whenever he's stuck, I'll come over and unstick him.
Kevin Starchek of S&S Paving is going to take on a big job for Joe.
We're going to be bringing a small excavator in and a truck, and we're going to be taking out or what we call organic material, which is the topsoil. We're going to dig that out and remove it, and then after that's done, we will bring the paving crew in and pave the walkway to the back.
Joe and Kevin have an interesting connection from the past.
Joe worked for me when he was a teenager. He was probably 16. I've known Joe's family my whole life. Personally, it just makes you feel good about doing stuff like this. And, you know, it's fortunate that we're able to do this stuff, and it's just very gratifying.
Joe's mom, Pam, is his primary caretaker and has been since the accident.
Joe is just a very positive, creative person who, if you say you can't, he will. And if you say don't, he will. Joe has to try everything. He doesn't look at his disability as a disability. Our daily schedule, of course, after doing it for 20 years, is we've got it down pretty well pat, but you never know, because you can get here in the morning and one of the wheelchairs can be broken, or shower chair can have a problem with it, or, you know, like Monday I got here and Joe had burns on his hands, so we had to bandage those up. And so we never know what a day is going to be like. It's always new adventure.
Veteran traffic patrolman Dustin Baldus of the Torrington Police Department provides some insight into the outcome of drunk driving.
I've been a crash investigator for 19 years. I do crash reconstructions for fatal crashes, and statistically it shows about 30,000 people die nationally every year from DUI crashes. But can we do something or anything to help lessen that, whether it be through enforcement or education, to help people from stop abusing alcohol and or drugs while they're driving? Yeah, and when you arrive on scene and you see how traumatic it is for not only the victims, but the victims' families and friends that have to deal with it, it definitely is an eye-opener, not just for law enforcement, but it should be for the public as well.
Look who's showing up at Joe and Alyssa's house. Eric met them at ECAD, and now he gets to visit them at their home.
Hey, hello, Eric.
Nice to
Alyssa,
see you again.
Yes, I met you guys
again.
at ECAD. It was wonderful.
You remember Grace?
Beautiful Grace.
You know, I still have a piece of your birthday cake.
Yay.
Still working on it.
That was great birthday cake.
Eric spent some quality time with Joe and Alyssa, while Joe explained exactly what happened on the fateful day that changed his life.
I got out of my vehicle, tried getting into his in order to stop him, and instead ended up getting my hand stuck in the ladder rack of his truck, and he dragged me. He ended up hitting a bridge about a mile or two later, and when he hit the bridge, the truck flipped over, and I ended up breaking my neck. I remember the day very well. I went to work, I came home, I rode my quad around for a little bit, I went hunting. And a friend of mine, him and I, we had gone, met a bunch of friends for dinner, and we were coming home, and so we got hit by a guy who was extremely drunk, and he was just kind of playing bumper cars in an intersection. And so I got out of the vehicle after we got hit and tried getting into his vehicle in order to stop him. So when he flipped the truck over, I got ejected out and broke my neck. He then went back down onto his wheels, hit a tree after that, and still walked away without a scratch.
Well, when did you decide, or how did you decide, or what clicked in your mind to, hey, here I am, this is it is what it is, I'm gonna do what I gotta do?
You know, I mean, you see people that have a bad attitude and they just, you know, can't accept what's happened with them. And you see them, you know, you see them today, you see them 10 years, 20 years from now, they're still in the same exact position. They don't do anything to try and better themselves. They're just, you know, miserable about everything.
Lisa Mae Cleary-Cast. I'm a mental health waiver clinician with Advanced Behavioral Health and the Money Follows the Person program. I just knew that he was going to do what Joe does. Joe has had, you know, other instances in his life that he's pulled through. No matter what you come into in your life, there's always another side. There's always, if you have that in you, which Joe does, I think you can come through it. And it makes me feel proud and happy. And there's days that, you know, things happen in my life and I think, oh gosh, you know, look at Joe. And he inspires me a lot of days. I think they fit together well. I think they take the good qualities of each other.
There is lots of work to be done, and S&S Paving is on the job to make life a lot easier for Joe.
I used to work for vocational rehabilitation, which is counselors who help people with disabilities find and maintain employment. And Joe was interning at the time. Were you getting your master's or your bachelor's?
That was when I was getting my bachelor's, yeah.
He was getting his bachelor's, and he came to intern at our facility, and I was interpreting for a deaf counselor. So we met there.
Was this before he was in the chair or after?
After. I've never known him before. Yep. So
you're a lucky guy, man.
Yes, I am. I'm a very lucky guy.
Yeah.
Brian arrives to help make Joe's life a little easier.
So currently Joe has a standard doorknob. It really is very difficult for him to open and close doors. The lever doorknob allows for him to press down or up versus having to turn at the wrist. So it should make it a lot easier to move through the house.
Brian will change out all the door levers in their house so that Joe has a much easier time getting into the rooms.
I can move my wrist this way, but I can't do this or move my fingers. We're grabbing a round doorknob. You know, a kid gets mad and he decides to close himself in the bedroom. I'm sitting there looking at the door going, well, there's no way of me getting in there. I ended up getting a dog just to kind of keep me busy. Once she got older, I knew I was going to need another dog, and because of all the situations that I'd been in throughout being in a chair and everything like that, I was like, you know, I need a service dog. I ended up getting Grace, and it was perfect time because the two dogs kind of overlapped, and she took on a lot of the same characteristics as a dog that I had already been used to for, you know, 15 years. Like one night, Alyssa had gone on vacation, and I'm home alone, and I'm in bed, and I dropped the remote from my bed. And it hit the floor, and it hit a button on it, and it literally folded me in half.
Looked like a taco.
I'm folded in half like a taco. My phone is somewhere, I have no idea where. My bed remote is on the floor. I called Grace, she went underneath the bed, got the remote for me, came over, jumped over on the other bed, walked over, put the remote on my chest for me to be able to actually reach and flatten myself out. We had a housewarming party, and we had all of the friends and the neighbors around, and I decided to, you know, pop the question there, and so yeah, it was a spot where she wasn't expecting me to do it.
Yeah, I didn't think he would do it. It was also my 40th birthday party, so we were having like a big event, and everybody was there. And the night before, I even had one of my friends flew in from Colorado and was staying with us, and I kept asking her, I'm like, I want to know, is he gonna like ask me? And she's like, are you serious? Do you really want me to answer this question? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, do you really want me to answer this? I don't know. Finally, I think she just asked me enough times that I stopped asking her. So yeah, so it was, I was hoping for it, but I wasn't expecting it on that day. I didn't think he'd do it in front of everybody. He's not that type of person. So I was really impressed that he actually got the guts to ask in front of everybody. My son reacted by shouting, finally! He was so excited. He's known Joe since Caden was 3 months old. I was pregnant back when I met Joe, so he's actually known him since he was little. We have tons of pictures of him like looking up at his wheelchair and Joe looking down, and so he was just very excited that Joe is going to be his dad and you know, a father figure in his life.
Before he came into my house, I didn't really know him, but now that he's living with my mom and he's getting married to her, then that will be really cool. I'll finally have a dad, and we like to play games together. My grandma told me not to tell my mom that she was gonna do the engagement. It was pretty cool how I could see my dad getting my mom the ring or something. But what happened also was when the DJ was trying to play the music, it accidentally played the wrong song, which was kind of funny. You have a great event, wonderful event coming up. Your wedding. Tell me about it.
You're looking at me, yeah. So
you are the one in charge, you know. I bought the ring.
Yeah.
I bought the ring. I started from there, and then I let her take it from there. I'm a guy. I don't know about these things. I thought you go into a jewelry store, you say, right, I want this one, and you walk out. So I went there like 3 days before.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
You just don't get a ring that fast.
You know, you need, if you want specific rings and everything like that, they've got to find the stone. They got to cut the stone. And, you know, it's not a one-stop shop thing. I found a wedding venue that was an old dairy farm that they converted into a wedding venue. It's absolutely beautiful.
We got the dress, we got the tux, we even got a little flower bouquet for Grace. Grace is going to be in the wedding.
Oh, good, yeah. Good.
Yeah, Grace.
And your son?
Yes, my son Caden will be there.
Is he going to be the best man, or he's going to walk you down the aisle?
No, my dad's walking me down the aisle, but he's going to be a junior groomsman.
I'm Dean.
I'm Kathleen. I think they look great together.
Yeah.
They're definitely humble and funny.
And I love their humbleness. I love to see them interact with each other. You can tell there's true love, you know, which is a beautiful thing. And I think they're just such down-to-earth people, both of them, you know, and she took the words out of my mouth, humble, just humble, nice people. But one thing that's always inspiring about him is he doesn't seem to
phase him.
Like, in other words, he doesn't seem to like scale back what he wants to do based on any disabilities. You know, I mean, he mows his own lawn, he does his own landscaping, he's, you know, always out doing stuff in the yard. bringing his, Kate into the bus stop, like he's out and about, and he's definitely living his life to the fullest, from what I see.
We've been going to dance lessons. Just every couple weeks we go down, or every week we go down for dance lessons, just primarily so that we learn to dance around without me running over her feet.
So we'll come in and you're going to walk around him. Hi, my name is Stephen Powell. I'm from the Fred Astaire Dance Studios of Hamden, Connecticut, and I'm a ballroom dance teacher. So ballroom dancing has no boundaries, so whether you are able-bodied or not, it's possible to do whatever you can open your mind to. Choreographing their wedding dance and getting them ready was such an amazing experience. Learning what they can do, what they can't do, experimenting, and just being creative and open-minded and making it happen. They are really fun to work with, and it was just a blast, and we had a good time. We laughed a lot, which was awesome.
Meanwhile, Divine Renovation has been working behind the scenes for a surprise for the happy couple. Everything must come together at once for the big reveal. Businesses in the area joined in to help make the upcoming surprise a truly special one.
I loved doing this for them, especially hearing Joe's story, and then they had just gotten engaged. So I was very excited to just bring some really nice, beautiful florals in, and the arch and all of the country kind of rustic decor for them, because I know they like that.
You're Kevin, right?
Yes.
I'm Eric.
How you doing?
Listen, I understand that Joe would come out here and he'd get stuck in the mud. I'm sure he's totally appreciative for what you've done. We certainly are with Divine Renovations. I'm very pleased that you have joined to help show some love.
Thank you.
And it's good work. Some good, solid work. He won't have that problem getting stuck.
He shouldn't have any problem.
He may be a stick in the mud, but he won't get stuck in the mud.
Local musicians Riley Cotton and Tracy Walton joined in the celebration as Joe and Alyssa traveled down the newly paved asphalt path.
Joe, Alyssa, come. We have a surprise for you. Oh. All right? Divine Renovation wants to give you a celebration for your engagement. So here you are. Brian, thanks for being here. All right. You enjoy. Yes! Your special day.
Drive me home and know I've had to kiss too many. I know the dark, it terrifies you. I'll be there to guide you from far away or right beside you. Oh, honey, where you come from, Lord only knows. I've been waiting here to meet you, living 2 miles down. Oh, lady, I will follow wherever you're in those. Meeting you, life's empty highways, and we got miles left to roam. Rolling hills, I close my eyes, I see you waiting. I cross the Colorado deep just to lay beside you, sleeping peacefully, the fears fade.
And excuse me, quiet on set. Gosh, you'd think they haven't done this before.
Hip hip hooray!